You should wake up and get into a cold shower, not because you love it, but because you love how it makes you feel after, because it teaches you to stop running from discomfort. You should eat clean, not because junk food doesn't tempt you, but because you respect how clear your mind feels when your body's fueled right. You should train, even when you're tired, because there's no better feeling than walking out of the gym knowing you didn't fold. You should do hard things, not because they're easy, but because you know the version of you you're trying to become won't be built on comfort. Every hard decision you make is a vote for your future self, and once you start casting those votes daily, you become someone you're actually proud of. I get a question quite frequently, and that's that people ask me, how do you take cold showers every day? How do you remain disciplined? How do you go to the gym every day? How do you eat clean every day? Is that not boring? I actually had somebody ask me, do you never not just eat McDonald's? That's exactly what they commented, and this was on an old video. But it's like me asking the question, how do you eat junk food every single day? Does that not make you feel sluggish? How do you wake up every single day, look in the mirror and see somebody that you're not proud of and continue to do the same thing? Does that not make you feel empty? How do you scroll every single day and watch TV every single day when you know that you could be doing things? Does that not make you feel unfulfilled? Because to me, what I'm doing is in no way, shape or form an extreme lifestyle. It's how we should live. Because it will honestly bring fulfillment when you have something that you're working towards, when you're happy with the shape that you're in, when you can go on runs and you can do all of this because you're actually seeing what you're capable of. And this isn't to say that you shouldn't watch TV and that you can't indulge in junk food here and there, but that should not consume the majority of your life, yeah? Because when you indulge in these things way too much, and we can see that the worst type of discomfort is living in comfort for too long. What do I mean by that? When you see someone who's obese, they've lived in comfort for too long. They've lived with the comfort of just eating and eating and eating until that comfort becomes extremely uncomfortable. We can talk about the same way how people scroll their lives away. You know, they're wasting hours on TikTok or watching too much TV, over consuming, and that is literally hours of their lives just gone. I think when I looked at this before, it was something that people spend on average 4 hours a day on their phone. It's probably way higher now. But it's like that's hours of your life just gone. So when people say they don't have time, that is just false. You can always find time to better yourself. You can even get down and do push-ups right now. And that will put you in a better position in the next month if you do that every single day. Imagine if you did 10 push-ups every time you scrolled. Your chest would look wham right now. Because you'd actually be using your time efficiently instead of just scrolling. But I will say for me that none of this necessarily happened overnight. It was definitely progress, but that's the same that goes for anything. I remember the first time I went to the gym, I was in year 7. My mom used to take me to the gym, right? And I was in, what was the name of the gym? Can't even remember. It was some bodybuilding gym, but there were allowed kids in there. She had me doing some bicep curls on a cable. I've actually still got the video of that. And at first I didn't like it. Like I was like, I just want to go play out with my friends, but I'm going to the gym instead because my mom's taking me. And I would literally only go like 2-3 times a week. And then I just didn't want to go. So I just stopped going. She'd be like, you want to come to the gym? I was like, nah, don't really want to go. Because I didn't like it. You know, I was a kid. I was like, okay, my time can be used playing out. Because I would go to school and I would come home. I would just want to go chill on the street with all of the other kids. You know what I'm saying? And then I actually started getting into the gym properly myself. So I started training properly when I was 13, you know, when I was actually at home and I'll be training. And I was like, okay, this is good because I was doing martial arts. I was also playing rugby and stuff like that. And then 15, I got my first gym membership. And my mom used to take me in the morning. So we used to always go before school. I would wake up at 5 a.m., we'd eat breakfast, and then we'd go to the gym for 6 a.m. and then we'll train. And then after that, I would come back home. So I would literally eat my mixing bowl of porridge in the car and I would have protein shakes at that point, which don't recommend. And then, yeah, I would go to the gym. Sometimes I would go to school. I was so tired, but that made me so happy because for one, I was in good shape, like for my age. I'll say for my age, but in general. But yeah, I was in good shape because I was putting in the work. And for two, it was like, yeah, I was tired, but it's because I was waking up at 5 in the morning. You know, eating, going to the gym. And then sometimes I would even go to the gym after school. But that was rarely because that was a lot to kind of do both. But it's something that had to gradually happen. You know, I saw the progress in my life of when I didn't really like working out to when I actually loved it. And it's something that I did every single day. Like for me, working out was a challenge at the start, and then it just became my life. But that's the same for everything, you know. When it came to reading, that one was a struggle for me because school made me dislike reading. Then I got into reading on my own accord, and I loved it because I was selecting the things that could actually help me grow and help me elevate. Now, that I just went on a huge tangent right there, gave you a little backstory into my life. But my point is that discomfort is not a bad thing at all. As I said, from when I was going to the gym in year 7, didn't really like it, was on and off. And then when I actually committed to the gym and I was being more uncomfortable and putting myself in a position to grow, it was that one thing I realized was that discomfort isn't necessarily a bad sign. It's a sign of growth. And a lot of time it's a sign of growth. When we talk about discomfort in terms of taking cold showers, discomfort in terms of going on a run, discomfort in terms of doing hours of deep work every single day, discomfort in terms of journaling and actually facing those inner demons. That's like, okay, now you know that you're doing the deep work and you know that is actually going to get you somewhere. Yes, in the moment, it probably don't feel good. And with the gym, the day after, it doesn't even feel good either because you feel even worse. And 2 days after, you probably feel even worse than that. Your muscles are achy, you're sore. But it's like and I say this because when you start training for a long time anyway, you actually want to get that soreness because they say when it's hurting, it's working. And you're like, okay, I've actually worked hard, because you actually begin to miss that. You know, you actually begin to miss the feeling sore and the feeling tired and all of that. But yeah, back to my point is that it's not just something that comes straight away, and it can actually feel painful a few days after, and it can feel painful when you're doing the deep work and it's like, oh, this is some deep stuff that I'm getting into. I've never asked myself these questions on this level. I've never actually confronted myself and reflected each week and been like, you know, I haven't done that and I should have done that. You know, that's currently what I'm doing right now. So I'm literally reflecting and just being like, okay, what haven't I done? What should I have done? And it's important to have that meeting with yourself every single week and just reevaluate where you're at and just understand what it is that you actually need to do to push further ahead in life. And this is another thing, right? Pushing through discomfort doesn't just build discipline, but it builds an identity. What I mean by that is that the more times that you go through those hard things and you do those things that you struggle to do, you do those things that you've been putting off for a long time, you genuinely grow as a person. You grow as a person just exponentially, you know. And there's a few famous quotes, but there's one that I really like, and it was like, if you could fail 50 times and you knew at the end that you succeed and you would get everything you want, how quickly would you want to fail? Now, that's honestly how you have to treat life and how you have to treat discomfort in a sense. It's like, yes, I'm taking this cold shower, but at the other end of this cold shower is me feeling so much better and me feeling ready for the day. Yes, I'm going to the gym, but a month down the line, if I continue to go to the gym 3 to 5 days a week and work out correctly, then I'll see gains. Even if you don't work out correctly and you're going 3 to 5 times a week, you will see progress. Yes, with the diet, okay, if I'm eating this amount of calories, this amount of protein, and I just continue doing that for the next month, I will look completely different. These are the things that you have to do. You have to think long term and be like, yeah, once I do these things, I know that eventually I'll get my desired outcome because I'm doing the things every single day. And it's not even looking forward. It's just going through the motion of, this is just who I am now. This is just my identity. This is what I do. It rewires your whole brain and makes you into a completely different person just by doing those actions, just by having discipline, just by having a routine. It makes you a completely different person because you then start to take on the things that you do now. You're not that lazy person who doesn't get up early enough and go to the gym. Now you are that person. You are that person who can trust yourself and who can believe in the things that they say they want to do. They believe that they're going to be the person that they want to become because they're setting themselves up to be that person every single day. And as I say, for me, sticking to my word is crucial because now, before it was like, okay, my word had less meaning, less validity because yes, I would stick to my word. Yes, I would go to the gym. Yes, I would do the things that need to be done. But sometimes I would slip up. And for me slipping up then, it didn't really have much consequence. But now me slipping up has more of a consequence, especially having a daughter. And it's still my underlying consequence before was that if I don't do the things that I need to do, I will never live the life that I want to live. I will never be the person that I want to become. And now it's like, if I don't do the things that I need to do now, having a daughter, it's like she will never have the life that I kind of want her to have, you know. She will never have the life that I envisioned. And what I mean by that is just a life where she has peace and she has no stress and she can kind of just live life on her own accord. You know, like I can teach her the power of the way that you think. I can teach her the power of manifestation. I can teach her the power of actions. But the only way that I can pass that down is by me doing it myself. If I'm not doing it myself, how can I teach her about health and about wellness if I'm fat and out of shape because I didn't put in the work myself? So me putting in the work myself actually has bigger repercussions now, because it means that this is actually something that I can pass down. If I'm not leading myself, then I can't do the same to her. It will just never work, you know, because I'll be being a hypocrite and then she will not respect what I have to say. Because look, when you see somebody that's in terrible shape, you would never want a fat personal trainer, right? Because why would you want a fat personal trainer? For one, a personal trainer should never be fat. But for two, if your personal trainer is overweight, why are you going to believe what they say? There's no validity. How can this person lead me to getting into the best shape of my life when they're not even taking on their own advice? So yeah, think of it from that perspective. And for me, the thing is, it's like, okay, I don't just train because I feel like it, right? I think about the long term. As I said, my daughter, but also I train because I'm somebody who trains. I train because I see myself as like, this is me. This is what I do. You know, I live a healthy lifestyle. I'm the type of man who shows up for myself, and that's why I train. I don't just train because I feel like it. I train because I'm the type of person that actually shows up for myself. But one thing I'll say is that identity itself, it's not everything. You need consistency. And you need proof that the effort is actually going somewhere. And that's where the compound effect comes in. So as I was saying before, about when you continually do something, you will see progress. You know, if you eat good, you will see progress. If you train hard for the next month, you will see progress, right? And this is like, for me, what I do actually is I invest money every single month. Yeah, so that's usually about 15%. Yeah, I invest that every single month. It's like a non-negotiable. And even something else that I have, like, is that when I pay for stuff, the money goes into my investments. So what I do is I always invest. And it's like, okay, me investing today means nothing to me today, because that money is going to stay in there for years. So I'm setting myself up for the future by doing the things that I need to do now. And this is the same with everything that you do, right? When you just do things now, the results won't show up instantly. So it takes commitment, and it takes actually committing to this, because a lot of people would do things for a short amount of time and then they end up falling off because they can't commit to what it is that they actually set out to do. So once you realize that the things that you do today, the only moment that exists is the present. So once you do the things that you need to do today, you will get to where it is that you want to be. That's not to say that you shouldn't look ahead and be like, okay, this is my overall goal. Of course, have the overall goal, but having these micro goals, having these little things that you need to do every single day, they compound and they will get you to your goal eventually. What happens is that you have that goal anyway, and then you end up losing sight of the goal because you just love the process. You're just doing the things every single day. And then one day you're like, oh, like I reached my goal kind of thing. And that's how it is. And it's like setting micro goals. You just do the things that you need to do every single day to ensure that you do hit those mini goals, those short-term goals, those medium-term goals, and those long-term goals. But here's the thing, yeah, a lot of people aren't even willing to go through that. They're not willing to go through that short-term pain of, for example, letting go of the money, or the short-term pain of, for example, going to the gym. They don't do it long enough to actually experience those long-term things. And this is what most people do. Most people don't commit to something long enough to actually see result. Most people don't actually work at something long enough to actually be proud of the person that they are. And it's kind of a sad reality, but at the same time, it's just reality. You know, you have to put in the work in order to get to that stage where you want to get. And it's not necessarily easy. No, it's hard. It takes a lot of commitment. There's things that I do every single day that it's like, okay, I'm not excited to do it, but I'll do it because I know long term it will set me up to be where I want to be. And I'm proud of the things that I do every single day. and I can reflect at the end of the month and be like, I'm glad that I did that. You know, in retrospect, you can look back and be that I'm glad, and look back and say, I'm glad that I did that. Just the same way where you can be in a very bad position, you can be like, why did I do all of those things? I regret not doing this. I regret not starting earlier. You know, so it's better that you just do the things now instead of down the line just feeling regret for everything that you didn't do. So always remember that the small choices are what build real momentum. You never want to feel that regret. So just make sure you're doing the things that you need to do every single day and write it down. Have goals every single day. I always recommend having 3 non-negotiables, 3 things that you're going to do every single day that actually move the needle forward. So whether that be you're trying to lose weight and you're trying to get shredded and just be in the best shape of your life, all right, cool. That means that you got to do 10,000 steps a day. You got to eat a certain amount of calories every day. And then you've got to, let's say, work out 5 times a week. I know that's not every day, but have 3 non-negotiables that you need to do every single day or every single week. And those are the things that you need to do. You don't skip the gym. If you got to go 5 days a week, don't skip the gym. If you have to do those 10,000 steps a day, don't skip that. If you have to hit a certain amount of calories every single day, don't skip that. Make sure that you do those things. And me, I'm not even heavy on calorie counting at all, but that was just an example. So yeah, write down those 3 non-negotiables that actually move the needle forward, whether this be for health, whether this be for wealth, or whether this be for relationships. Write them down. And then that way you know, okay, these are the things that I need to do every single day that actually move the needle forward. All of this to say is that doing hard things isn't punishment. It's not punishment at all. Doing hard things is preparation. It's how you build strength, clarity, and honestly just self-respect. This video went on way longer than I was expecting the video to go on as well. But yeah, I wish the best for you, and I wish that you take the steps to becoming the best version of yourself. And as always, you can drop me a DM on Instagram. My @ will be in the link below. I'm also releasing a cookbook too. That'll be on my Instagram. So yeah, take care, and I wish you the best.